My female 20 mom, female 43 walked in on my stepdad, male 45, and his lover, female mid-20s. Lover then punched her in the face. The sound of my mother's voice woke me up at 5:30 a.m. this morning, and it was the first thing I heard when I awoke. Given that her health has been deteriorating lately, I replied as if I were on my way to the emergency room. I made a clerical error. Thank God you answered, she tears, before repeating, thank God you responded, and then crying again. My mother and stepfather own and operate a bar and restaurant in conjunction with one another. The fact that he has only been physically hostile to her on a few occasions does not diminish the fact that he has always been emotionally and verbally abusive toward my mother, as well as to myself and my 4 other siblings. In the event that particular examples are needed, I would be delighted to offer them. He's been coming home late for the last several weeks. The bar shuts at 2, and he's typically gone by 2:30, but he's been coming home until 5 or 6 p.m. At the past, he has been known to get inebriated while at work and to have spent the night in the office on a number of times. When I pick up my mother and accompany her to the bar to check on him, the moment has arrived for me to leave work early. She arrives, sees his truck, and begins to go inside the home while he speaks. Walking to the rear of the restaurant, where there are sofas, she finds him nude with a younger girl who has purple hair, tattoos and piercings, and they begin to make out. She turns and walks away from the situation. With no doubt, my mother gets incensed, labels her a WHRE, and orders her to quit the institution in which she works. When the girl retaliates by calling her obscenities and declaring, "This is my bar now, B," she is referred to as a B by the other girls. After that, she punches my mother in the face with her fist. My stepfather made no attempt to keep her safe from harm or harming others. As she went out of the facility and returned into our home, my mother sobbed uncontrollably. All he has to say about my mother is that he loves her and that she was a F. That is all he has to say about her. He gets home from work this morning with nothing more to say about his day. Because of this, my mother's life is in chaos, and although I'm upset, I'm almost glad that it has occurred. He has cheated on her at least 40 times over the course of the past 12 years, and now that she is aware of this, she may opt to quit the relationship with him. She makes several pledges to herself that she would leave, but she never follows through. When she makes arrangements, she has a nasty habit of canceling things at the last minute, generally for the most inconsequential of reasons. To put it another way, Reddit, what would you do if you found yourself in my situation? What is the most effective method of dealing with my stepfather? What can I do to persuade my mother to finally let go of her painful memories? Despite the fact that I got her some beautiful flowers and want to deliver them to her after work, I predict that he will be there. Would you recommend that I say anything to the other female, or that I simply ignore her completely? My rage is clearly getting the best of me at the moment, and I'm really contemplating not confronting her at all at this point. Update 1. Sorry if I'm breaking Reddit etiquette by starting a new subject for this, but I'm aware that it's a little early to create a new topic for it. I left work a bit early today since tomorrow is a holiday, and I wanted to make the most of it. I returned home to bring her some flowers and cookies in celebration of her birthday. When I arrived at her house, the 2 of them, as well as my younger brother and sister, were waiting for me. My mother and stepfather were having a talk in his room at the time. They have separate rooms. It was only after my stepfather had not returned home from work the previous night that my younger brother became aware of the issue, and it was the only thing he knew about it. It was my younger sister that made my mother aware of the issue and advised her that if she did not leave at this time, she would be moving out and living with my father. As soon as I went through the door, my mother emerged from her bedroom and informed me that, much to her surprise, my stepfather had been really regretful and calm, exactly as she had been. His wife, on the other hand, is unable to stand him, is unable to endure looking at him, and is unable to comprehend how he manages to do what he does. What does he live for? I wondered as I listened to him. I couldn't help but be perplexed. A shattered man who has lost everything, he remains so despite the fact that his own children no longer speak to him, and that all that is left of him are the drunken guests of his bar who only interact with him due to the fact that he is the owner. Furthermore, he has us, and we have each other, as well as the life we are constructing as we go along. What will happen if we don't show up to the meeting on time? When I informed her about it, she urged me to bring it up with him in the future. Despite the fact that I was scared and uncomfortable about it, she really wanted me to ask. She knocked on his door and said that she wanted to ask him a question, to which he responded that it was okay. So I went to him and asked him a few questions. What exactly is the purpose of your existence? What gets you out of bed in the mornings, and what do you have that makes you happy, are the two most important questions. He couldn't say anything since he couldn't speak. The man looked at me with a puzzled expression and answered, I don't have an answer for you. That's a fairly difficult question. I spent the next hour attempting to mediate a discussion between them. I described why their relationship was failing, mostly as a result of horrible communication, and what they needed to do to make it work again. They agreed. During the conversation, my mother expressed her loneliness as well as her dissatisfaction with the situation. His response was to doze off instead of apologizing or confessing his feelings for her or explaining what he would do to make things right. We went outside and I yelled at her that she was an idiot if she didn't go right away this time. He couldn't wait for her to stop expressing herself via her feelings. He didn't seem to be paying attention to anything she said. He just wanted her to stop talking, and it was painfully obvious that he wanted her to stop talking. She voiced her distaste for the situation and said that she did not feel she would be able to continue at the moment. We're all certain that she'll leave us. Thank God, and we can't wait to go back to living our lives. We also determined that the girl in question is 20 years old and was drinking at a bar while under the legal drinking age. His routine consisted of picking her up from her home, her, transporting her to a bar, her after work, and then going to her house on certain occasions too. She has told my mother that she loves him and will go to any length to protect him. My mother is unconcerned about her and believes that she has been brainwashed, which she considers to be a shame. Edit. She had first said that she would not pursue charges, but she now has enough people chirping in her ear that she is at least considering it. The only disadvantage is that she didn't leave a trace, and my stepfather has defended the girl enough times that he may be considered a witness to the incident. Update 2. Even now, I can't believe it, but she is no longer with us. Saturday before, I went to her house with a group of around 12 other people to help her in moving all of her goods, as well as the belongings of my younger brothers and sisters, into their new home. She will be moving just 30 minutes away from my home, and she is excited about the prospect of relocating. She reassured him that if he put out the required effort, she would give him another chance to prove himself. She feels pleased that he hasn't gone through with it yet. She was really upset over the entire situation at the beginning of the conversation. In her response, she expressed her skepticism, saying that she was unsure whether or not she would be able to complete the task. Once she was freed, I hoped that she would reflect on why she had remained for such a long period of time, and it turned out that I was completely accurate. The only reason they didn't tell her about the affair, according to others, was because he was publicly stating that they were in an open relationship with everyone else at the time. She is embarrassed since it isn't who she is in the first place, and she feels ashamed of herself. Phone calls from the other female have been received by my mother, who has been told that the bar has been transformed into her own and how much she loves him. Because she's usually inebriated, my mother has ceased responding, and all she does is hurl completely incomprehensible curses at my father and me. Because I feel so bad for her, I won't tell you which STD he gave her. But one of them is incurable and there is no treatment for it. She also caught a STI from him, which is now being treated. This is an exciting time for our family, and I'm pleased that I will not have to see or hear from him in the foreseeable future. I'm looking forward to this new chapter in our lives. His insane tendencies and his presence in her life are no longer present. Thank you so much for all you've done to help me. I would much appreciate it if you could provide me with any advice for the near future.